the beginnings of thought. The origin of logical thinking must be sought among the fifth subrace, the original Semites. Human beings began to go beyond a mere remembrance of the past and to compare different experiences. The faculty of judgment developed. Wishes and appetites were regulated in accordance with this faculty of judgment. People began to calculate, to combine. People learned to work with thoughts. If previously people had abandoned themselves to every desire, now they first asked whether their thinking could approve this desire, while the people of the fourth subrace rushed wildly towards the satisfaction of their desires. Those of the fifth began to listen to an inner voice. This inner voice restrains the desires, although it cannot destroy the claims of the selfish personality. Thus the fifth subrace transferred the impulses for action to within the human being. Human beings wish to come to terms within themselves as to what they should or should not do. But the benefit which accrued inwardly with respect to the faculty of thought was lost with respect to the control of external natural forces. For such combinatorial thinking can master only the forces of the mineral world, not the life force. The fifth subrace therefore developed thought at the expense of control of the life force. But it was precisely in this way that it produced the germ which would allow the onward development of humankind. Now personality, self-love, even complete selfishness could grow freely, for thought alone, which works wholly within and can no longer give direct orders to nature, is not capable of producing such devastating effects as the previously misused powers. From this fifth subrace the most gifted part was selected, which survived the decline of the fourth root race and formed the germ of the fifth, the Indo-European peoples, whose mission is the complete development of the faculty of thinking. The people of the sixth subrace, the Akkadians, developed the faculty of thought even further than the fifth. They differed from the so-called original Semites in that they employed this faculty in a more comprehensive sense than the former. It has been said that while the development of the faculty of thought prevented the claims of the selfish personality from having the same devastating effects as among the earlier races, these claims were not destroyed by it. The original at first arranged their personal circumstances as their fatsu ity of thought directed. Intelligence took the place of mere appetites and desires. The conditions of life changed. If preceding races were inclined to acknowledge as leader one whose deeds had impressed themselves deeply upon their memory, or who could look back upon a life of rich memories, this role was now conferred upon the intelligent. If previously that which lived in clear remembrance was decisive, one now regarded as best what was most convincing in thought. Under the influence of memory, one formerly held fast to a thing until it was found to be inadequate, and in such a case it was quite natural that the person who was in a position to remedy a want could introduce an innovation. But as a result of the faculty of thought, a fondness for innovations and changes developed. Each person wanted to put into effect what his intelligence suggested to him. Turbulent conditions therefore began to prevail under the fifth subrace, and in the sixth this led to a feeling that the obdurate thinking of the individual needed to be made subject to general laws. The splendor of the communities of the third subrace was based on the fact that common memories brought about order and harmony. In the sixth, this order had to be brought about by thought-out laws. Thus it is in this sixth subrace that one must look for the origin of the regulation of justice and law. During the third subrace, the separation of a group took place only when it was forced out of its community, so to speak, because it no longer felt at ease in the conditions prevailing as a result of memory. In the sixth this was considerably different. The calculating faculty of thinking sought the new as such. It promoted enterprises and the establishment of something new. The Akkadians were therefore an enterprising people with an inclination to colonization. It was commerce, especially, which nourished the waxing faculty of thought and judgment. Among the seventh subrace, the Mongols, the faculty of thought also developed. But characteristics of the earlier subraces, especially of the fourth, remained present in them to a much higher degree than in the fifth and sixth. They remained faithful to the feeling for memory. And thus they reached the conclusion that what is oldest is also what is most sensible, and can defend itself against the faculty of thought. It is true that they lost the mastery over the life forces, but what developed in them as the faculty of thinking nevertheless possessed something of the natural might of this life force. Indeed, they had lost the power over life, but they never lost their direct, naive faith in it. This force had become their God, on whose behalf they did everything they considered right. Thus they appeared to neighboring peoples as if possessed by this secret force, and they surrendered themselves to it in blind trust. Their descendants in Asia and in some parts of Europe manifested, and still manifest, much of this quality. The faculty of thought planted in human beings could only attain its full value in relation to human development when it received a new impetus in the fifth root race. The fourth root race, after all, could only put this faculty at the service of that to which it was educated through the gift of memory. The fifth alone reached life conditions for which the proper tool is the ability to think.